So on today's episode 18, in the 100 Things a Man Wants video series, today's topic is a man wants a woman with a low body count. Let's get into it.
So, Coach, I'm having problems in my relationship. What do these men want?
Well, they want many things. But fortunate for you, I took the liberty to put it in a new video series. You can catch it on my YouTube channel every Tuesday and Thursdays. And don't forget to comment, like, or subscribe.
All right, Coach, let me do that now.
Love, you move too fast for me.
Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is KoronPierre, and if you don't know me, I'm a life coach and your relationship guide. Hopefully, we could work together in the future. Now, I had to revisit this topic. So this is actually a component that I used in episode 14 of the series, which was men want an exclusive woman, because part of being an exclusive woman is having a low body count. So I had to take that body count facet and give it a little more attention, because that's something that is very, very important when we talk about relationships and dating between men and women, right? So it does go back to a man's ego, and we talked briefly about the man's ego in episode 1. If you hadn't seen that, go check that out. So a low body count helps soothe the man's ego as well. So we're gonna touch on some things. What does the data say? You know, this channel is driven by the data, and we try to use objective information to draw conclusions from. So Stuart Williams and his colleagues, now Stuart Williams, he's a psychology professor at the University of Nottingham, Malaysia, right? So him and his colleagues, they determined that both men and women still care about the number of sexual partners a potential mate has had in the study, right? So for the average woman and the average man in our sample, they write the ideal mate was not someone without any sexual history. So no one wants virgins. Our participants were reasonably willing to get involved with such a person. However, they were more willing to get involved with someone who had some history. Some history, meaning that they didn't have a big body count. The study also found that both sexes expressed an unwillingness to get involved with someone with a high number of past sexual partners. This despite the common notion that male promiscuity is tolerated, whereas female promiscuity is not. Women, you guys definitely care about males' promiscuity, especially when you talk about monogamous relationships. You don't want a guy that's been around the block. Now, of course, a man also doesn't want that. So the higher number of bodies, the more unwilling a man is going to be willing to get in a relationship with you. Now, we covered this in the previous video. I had to go back to it, but I got a little bit more data that I want to uncover, right? Now, most Americans have sex with 6 or fewer people in their lifetime. Now, if you look at this chart, you can see that. And also, just look at heterosexual men and heterosexual women, right? They're in red and the men in the bronze color. Now, they're a percentage or 2 off. Now, here is 3% off. But most Americans, males and females, their numbers are definitely similar. We're gonna definitely get into that a little bit more. Now, if you're a woman in this percentage group, you are definitely in luck because your body count is low. You're on par with the average American, right? The median heterosexual man or woman, age 18 to 60, reports somewhere between 4 and 6 opposite sex partners in their lifetime. Ignore that generated friendship. That's I shouldn't have had that in there. But so you're on average if you're in that range. So to the ladies with that many body counts, that is like the golden number, 4 to 6. I mean, if you have 2, if you have 1, that's also a golden number as well, depending on your age. I mean, like if you're like 20, then that's great. You know, 1 or 2 is fantastic, right? Even if you have none, because you're still young. But I'm gonna get into the age factor later, right? Now, on the contrary, right, very few people report having high numbers of lifetime sexual partners, right? Just 2% of heterosexual women, right? And 3% of heterosexual men, right? They report having well over 50 people. Could you imagine that? That is a lot of people. And those people are in the minority of people in their sexual history. So, I use this study a lot, relationships in America, for different topics. And one of the things I like to crush is this concept that people are just like sex demons or something. Like they're only into it to have sex. Like, no, people are looking to find meaningful relationships. That's just the truth. Yes, you have people that stray or, they cheat, or you have people who, say they don't want monogamy. That's fine. But the truth of the matter is, people are looking for serious connections. Just look at the chart, look at the numbers. And this studies come from Relationships in America. This is a randomized sample study. So this is a clear representation of the entire population in the United States. So these numbers are very valuable. And this was back in 2014. I'll put a source in the description to where you can find this. This is a very powerful study here. So let's continue. Now, what can you do? And I covered this a little bit in the last video. What can you do if you have a high body count? Let's really get into that, because high body counts definitely matter. So first thing you could do is date a man with a similar history. And what I mean by that is, as you see on that chart of 2 relationships in America, if you had sex with 50 or more people, chances are you might be better off getting with a person that has that same body count. But the problem with that is that the people with the higher body counts possibly are less interested in monogamous relationships. Another thing you could do is date alpha males. Alpha males possibly can have a similar history. If your body count's high, maybe their body count is high. So if you have 2 people coming together with higher body counts for their age range, that can work out. Alpha males to the rescue all the time in all my videos. If you can find a good alpha, go for it, who is willing to be that right guy, right? Because I'll throw in the disclaimer real quickly, and I also link the video at this part in the video that explains the difference between the right guy and the wrong guy, right? We touch on that. We say that when we're doing these 100 things for the man we want, trying to fit a certain standard, right? Those things are given to the guy who's the right guy for you, the monogamous man, your husband, your boyfriend, the guy that's willing to commit to you, he loves you, and all those good things. So that's what we're talking about when we say the right guy. And another thing, decide whether or not monogamy is for you. Because if you're in the minority of minorities, like if you're in that 5% of the population where you're over 50, I think that you might have to do some soul searching, because it possibly could be that monogamy is not for you. I know you're trying to find that guy, but it's just not working out for whatever reason. So maybe you should reconsider your objectives, right? And maybe look into other forms of relationships like polyamory, which is kind of on the rise now. Maybe you should look into that. Age. Now, your age does play a big role. The age could be a safety, bracket. What do I mean by that? If you go back in that chart, let's go back. Let's see if we can go back. So if you go back in the chart, right? Now, this range right here, 10 to 15, 7, I'll put from 7 to 15, right? If you stay within this range, and let's say you're in your 30s, your 40s, if you're 41, for example, and you've been in 10 relationships, because by that age, it's possible to have 10 relationships. Maybe not married 10 times, but 10 relationships. That's 10 bodies. So this number 10 here kind of fits in that scenario, right? If you're 20 with 10 to 15 bodies, that possibly is not a good look. So it depends on, like I said, your age. Oh, whoa, speeding through. It depends on your age. So, when we say age plays a big role, that could be your saving grace. Because if you're 40, you could be in 10 relationships. If you're 30, you can be in maybe 8 relationships, right? Because let's face it, we don't always get things right. That's why we court and we commit for right before marriage to see if this person is worthy of it. So age plays a big role. Do assessment on yourself to see your age and your body count. And if you are comfortable based on your age saying your body count, then your body count is relatively, decent. But if you are ashamed, and especially if you get to that 50 and up club, that 50 and up club is one hell of a club to be in for a female especially, right? Because you're like 2% of the female. So I just wanted to touch on this topic, and hopefully I could give you some good insight on the body count. I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on it. In closing, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell icon so you get all your notifications, like the video so more cool people can check out the video, and until next time, stay blessed.